Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning to all viewers. My name is Nadiatul Akma binti Rosle, and I am from Kolej Universiti Kuala Lumpur, and today I am going to present our research paper entitled Organizational Citizenship Behavior Practices Among Employees in Academic Institutions. I am presenting this paper for Kuala Lumpur International Conference on Social Sciences, Education and Engineering 2020. First, let me introduce you to my presentation outline. Okay, so I will start the presentation by introducing you to the topics, and then I will proceed to literature review, which will explain some definition of terms that are used in the study, and also some of the previous findings by scholars. So later, I will address the research design before I proceed to findings and also the discussion. So organizational citizenship behavior is defined as individual behavior that is discretionary, indirectly or clearly recognized by a formal reward system, which promotes efficiency and affects organizational function. So this definition was by Organ 1988. In other words, it states that OCB is a form of a voluntary contribution of employees in the workplace that goes beyond its role as stipulated in the agreement. And also, therefore, the presence of OCB in organization cannot be made a requirement, while its absence cannot be punished. According to Hamizah, Faizah and Halimatul 2017, so without a high OCB, organization may face a high turnover or high number of employees turnover and low commitment rates among employees, and this will in turn lead to decreasing of organizational performance. So employees' level of turnover intention can be reduced if they are loved and treated well by the organization. So this can be seen through the OCB practices among employees. But however, there were less studies on OCB focused on association between demographic profile and demographic profiles of academic institution employees in Malaysia. So therefore, this study is conducted to identify the OCB practices by demographic profile of employees in an academic institution in Malaysia, which focus on the 5 dimensions of OCB, namely altruism, sportsmanship, civic virtue, courtesy, and also conscientiousness. Next, I will proceed to literature review. So, first I will explain the OCB classifications before I proceed to definitions of terms. So, there are a variety of OCB classifications that have been issued by previous researchers, but the most commonly used was as proposed by Organ 1988, which divided OCB into 5 dimensions, namely the altruism, courtesy, sportsmanship, civic virtue, and also conscientiousness. So the first dimension is altruism. It is defined as voluntary behavior that helps the colleagues to perform specific tasks or solve any related organizational problems. And the study further defined courtesy as a behavior that is polite and considerate towards others. So it also can be defined, courtesy also can be defined as a discretionary behavior that aim at preventing work-related conflicts among employees. So this is defined by Law Wong and Chen 25. So the next dimension is sportsmanship, where it is defined as a willingness on the part of employees, which represent the tolerance of employees to the imperfect states of the organization without complaining and raising the problem. And the next dimension is civic virtue, which explains a behavior that illustrates the deep concerns of employees and the active interest in organizational involvement. And the last dimension is conscientiousness. So it is an attitude of commitment to work that exceeds the requirements, such as working long hours and also volunteering to carry out other tasks. So, we are still in literature review. So, the previous study have discovered the different results on the relationship between demographic variables and OCB. For example, Chan and Lai 2017 found that gender, age, job level, and tenure exercise a significant difference on OCB, which is similar to the results by Potsakov, Ahern, and Mackenzie 1997. So, Chen, Hu, and King also report 2018 also reported that there are significant differences between service-oriented OCB and also workplace deviance on the basis of gender, age, marital status, education, position, department, and also monthly income groups. So the next study is by Milkovich and Sismic 2019. So they found that there were significant differences between gender and employees OCB. So the last one, okay, a recent study by Abdullah and Muhammad Kamil 2020. However, they indicate no significant difference between gender, age, education level, and job tenure on OCB. So specifically, male and female employees share a comparative level of citizenship behavior in the public institution. So by considering the results from the previous studies, so hence this study proposed the following hypothesis. Okay, the first one, there is significant differences between gender and OCB employees OCB, and then there is significant differences between age group and employees OCB. Hypothesis 3, there is significant differences between education level and OCB. Hypothesis 4, there is significant differences between position grade or group and employees OCB. And the last one, there is significant differences between employment status and employees OCB. And this led the study to propose a conceptual framework. Okay, so this is our conceptual framework. Gender, age group, we believe that gender, age group, education level, position grade, and employment status will have significant difference with employees' organizational citizenship behavior. So I proceed to research design. This is a cross-sectional study that investigates the OCB practices among employees by demographic variable. So we adapt a scale by organizational citizenship behavior scale by Potsakov and Mackenzie 1994, and the measurement contains 20 items that focus on the 5 dimensions of OCB: altruism, sportsmanship, civic virtue, courtesy, and also conscientiousness. And in this study, there were 227 employees participated in the study, involving academicians and non-academicians in one of academic institutions in Malaysia. And all items of OCB were measured by using a nominal scale, where the respondents need to respond whether they agree or disagree on the given statement. Okay, next I will proceed to findings. The data was analyzed by using cross-tabulations and also the chi-square test for independence. So, a chi-square test for independence was computed to determine whether OCB practices is independent of gender, such as male and female. So, according to this, the results indicates that there is no significant difference between male and female employees in practicing the OCB. So thus, hypothesis 1 is not supported, and it concludes that OCB is not related to gender. So besides, in terms of age group, it shows that OCB practices are not dependent on the employees, age, as the result shows that there is no significant difference between employees' age group and also the OCB practices. So this also concludes that hypothesis 2 is not supported. In regards to education level, the same results shows. So there is no significant difference between education level and also the OCB practices among employees. So this explains the OCB practices among employees is not dependent on education level. So thus hypothesis 3 is not supported. The results also shows that position grade is not related to OCB practices. Okay, the result shows that the OCB practices is independent of position grades such as academic, executive, and support. So it concludes that hypothesis 4 is not supported. But the last demographic variable, which is employment status, is added based on the organizational setting. And chi-square test results indicates that OCB practices among employees is dependent of their employment status, such as permanent, contract, and also temporary. So hence, hypothesis 5 is supported. Okay, so as for discussions, some of the findings in this study appear to be consistent with findings from the previous studies. So in regards to gender, results from current study shows that OCB practices are not dependent to male or female employees. So Abdullah and Muhammad Kamel 2020 and Derekan and Erdil 2016 also revealed that no significant differences between gender and OCB practices. So besides, the results also revealed that OCB practices among employees are not dependent of a younger or older employee and their education level as well. So these results verify that the findings by Abdullah and Muhammad Kamel, where there is no significant differences between age group and OCB and education level and OCB. The only demographic variable that shows significant difference to OCB practices is employment status, which refers to permanent, contract, and also temporary employees. Employees with permanent status are likely to involve more in OCB practices compared to employees with temporary and also contract status. So this shows that job security plays important role in shaping the employee's behavior. So employees who feel secure in the organization will contribute more to OCB practices, and this is supported by this was supported by Lam, Liang, Ashfat, and Lee 2015. So as the employee feel appreciated by the organization, so they will feel that they need to give in return by conducting and performing tasks beyond their former responsibilities. So to conclude this study, the results reveal that organizational citizenship behavior practices among employees in academic institutions are dependent to the employment status, not gender, age group, education level, and position grade. So it is suggested that organizations should pay more attention to employees' employment status. So permanent status will feel that they are linked to the organization, and this will influence them to have more involvement in positive conducts. So besides, since this study only highlights the association between demographic variable and OCB practices, so it is suggested to the future study to have more variables as mediating or moderating the relationship between the current variable under study. So that's all from me. Thank you, and I would like to say thank you to the organizer for this opportunity. So yeah, thank you. Assalamualaikum.